Hi guys, this is CA Dolly. I have cleared my CA Fan September 2025 and here I am sharing my first ever YouTube video. Woo-hoo. So what is this video about? I have created this video. So the purpose of this video is sharing with you all my certified copy of IDT paper. I know आप सबका कल exam है, so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but मैं just एक small ब्रीफ दे दूंगी कि मैं ये वीडियो क्यों शेयर कर रही हूँ. Actually, I have scored 397 in my September 2025 for both groups. Just because of few marks I have been at the boundary line of scoring in top 50. So why was the what was the reason of scoring less marks in IDT? I have scored only 57 in IDT, जबकि I thought कि मेरा 60 plus आ सकता है because during preparation leave IDT was my most favorite subject. So what was the reason of scoring less marks? So here is my certified copies जिसमें मैं आप लोगों के साथ अपनी गलतियां शेयर करूंगी. मैं आपको बताऊंगी कि मैंने आंसर्स को प्रेजेंट कैसे किया है and what are the more better way of presenting your answers and what are the things you need to keep in your mind when you are solving your answers. So let's get ahead into the video. Thank you. तो स्क्रीन दिख रही होगी. दिस इज माय सर्टिफाइड कॉपी ऑफ आईसीआई एंड आईडीडी का पेपर. सो इन टोटल आई हैव स्कोर्ड इन सितंबर 2025 57 मार्क्स, आउट ऑफ विच 39 वर फ्रॉम डिस्क्रिप्टिव and remaining MCQ में मुझे मिले थे 18 marks. So what was the reason of scoring less marks? Actually that time the MCQ were tricky part and I feel I have not practiced more on MCQ part. So I hope आप लोग ने MCQ part किया होगा. Even if your conceptual understanding is good, then you can easily score 20 plus in your MCQ. And if you score 20 plus in MCQ, then I can tell you guys that आप लोग easily अपना paper clear कर जाओगे IDT का. So let's get ahead into the descriptive part of the exam. So here is my suggestion to all of you guys कि if you guys are सो आई होप आप लोगों को मेरा डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन पेपर दिख रहा होगा, डिस्क्रिप्टिव आंसर स्क्रिप्ट दिख रहा होगा. सो हियर आई ऑलवेज सजेस्ट एवरीवन एंड जो मेरे फैकल्टीज ने मुझे सजेस्ट किया है कि नेवर अटेम्प्ट फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन को कभी भी फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट नहीं करना है, क्योंकि जब आप फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज ऑलवेज अ मास्टर क्वेश्चन. सो नेवर अटेम्प्ट इट फर्स्ट, बिकॉज जब आप फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करने जाते हो ना आपका बहुत टाइम लग जाता है उधर. एंड बिकॉज इट इज योर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, आप उसको बेटर प्रेजेंट करने की पूरी कोशिश करते हो, जिसकी वजह से आपका बहुत सारा टाइम बर्बाद हो जाता है. सो आई सजेस्ट यू गाइज कि नेवर अटेम्प्ट योर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट. सो आई ऑलवेज स्टार्टेड विथ मोस्टली सेकेंड क्वेश्चन से स्टार्ट करती थी बिकॉज मुझे सेकेंड क्वेश्चन ईजी लगता था. So here also is my question paper of ICI Institute September 2025. So this is my IDT का paper. This is my IDT का paper September 2025 का. So first we'll start with the descriptive part. So this is the second question. Set 2A से हम स्टार्ट करेंगे. So यहाँ पर एक विश्वास करके रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन था. He was registered in the state of Telangana, Karnataka. Sorry, not Telangana. It is Karnataka. He was an individual who is registered in the state of Karnataka. And here are few of the adjustments they have given. So what have they asked? First, you have to always check the required part. So they have asked you about the value of taxable supply and net GST liability payable in cash by Mr. Vishwas for the month of February. February के मंथ में विश्वास को कितना टैक्सेबल वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई था एंड कितना जीएसटी लायबिलिटी उनको पे करने की थी. फ्रॉम दिस एडजस्टमेंट्स विल अंडरस्टैंड, बट व्हाट फर्स्ट विल चेक व्हाट इज द एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन गिवन इन हियर. सो दे हैव टोल्ड दैट जहां पर भी प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई नहीं दी हुई है, wherever the place of supply information is not given, we have to consider it always as intrastate. मतलब यहाँ पर आएगा CGST और SGST, CGST and SGST आएगा, not IGST. where place of supply is not determinable. जहाँ पर place of supply determine हो रही है, based on the place of supply we will determine whether it is CGST, SGST or IGST. Right. Next is related to consultation services received from whom. So here the Vishwas is importing his consultation services from his father-in-law in GST language, he is not a relative. So first he is not a relative. Now because this is an importation of service, he is from importing from outside India, from non-relative and without consideration. So if you see deemed supply 7(1)(c), वहाँ पर डीम सप्लाई क्या कहता है, इफ इट इज विदाउट कंसिडरेशन फ्रॉम अ रिलेटिव और डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन, एंड इफ यू आर इम्पोर्टिंग एनी सर्विस एंड इट इज सप्लाई, बिकॉज इज नॉट अ रिलेटिव देयरफॉर इट इज नॉट अ सप्लाई. तो यहाँ पर उन्होंने सप्लाई का एक पार्ट कवर अप किया है. राइट. देन दे हैव टोल्ड दैट ऑल अमाउंट्स आर एक्सक्लूसिव ऑफ टैक्स. रेट ऑफ टैक्स सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी आईजीएसटी को 9%, 9%, 18% देना है. सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी आईजीएसटी का बाइफर्केशन करते हुए चलना है. एंड ऑल कंडीशंस फॉर आईटीसी आर फुलफिल. राइट. सो फर्स्ट विल सी द एडजस्टमेंट. तो यहाँ पर मैंने अपने आंसर्स को कैसे प्रेजेंट किया है. सो फर्स्ट वी हैव शोन दैट मेन आंसर क्या है, कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई एंड नेट जीएसटी लायबिलिटी ऑफ विच वाज फॉर द मंथ ऑफ February. Like this you have to present the heading. Now what is the, this is a GST format. Okay, this is a GST format. दिस इज अ जीएसटी फॉर्मेट. सो फर्स्ट हमने यहाँ पर जीएसटी लायबिलिटी बताई है अदर देन आरसीएम. देन वॉट एवर इनपुट इज अवेलेबल, एंड देन वी हैव गिवन, फर्स्ट वी हैव गिवन द पेबल आफ्टर using input, and उसमें we will add our RCM के supplies because RCM is always payable in cash, so you have to add your RCM का जो भी आपका payable amount है that you have to add it here and you will get net payable. So this was the format I have used, and here they have also as for value of supply, so I have given the value of supply separately for the disclosure purpose. Right, now what is the adjustment given in here? So let us go by adjustment one by one. So first they have given that he is providing security services to whom? He is giving security services 1 lakh to unregistered person and remaining 4 lakh to registered person. Now in RCM list we have seen that if he is a non-body corporate and providing security services of personal security services, security bodyguard services if they are providing, then it is always RCM outwards. So whoever is taking such services will pay GST on it. It is always in the RCM list. So here he is providing security services. He is a non-body corporate. He is providing 4 lakh to registered person. तो ये 4 lakh तो आ गया अपना RCM में. But this 1 lakh because he is giving to unregistered person, therefore he has to pay GST on it. So here if you see 4 lakhs pay, we are not showing any GST. 4 lakh it is not under GST. 4 lakh is payable in RCM, therefore there is no GST liability for Vishwas, but because he is providing 1 lakh to unregistered person, we have deducted GST of 9%, because the place of supply is not determinable, we are taking it as CGST and SGST, right? Then providing services for organizing entertainment events for Wonderful for Films Limited in the state of Telangana. So here we are organizing events, and in place of supply there is a section where it tells that if we are providing entertainment or organizing any events for any registered person, then the place of supply will be the place where the registered person is registered. So here he is registered in the state of Telangana, so therefore it is IGST because the supplier is in the state of Karnataka and recipient is in the state of Telangana. Therefore, here comes the place of supply Telangana, and here it is IGST. So we have to take 18%. So organization of events, wonderful events. Here I have quoted section number also because at the time I remembered the section number. We have to explain about the place of supply, and it is an interstate supply. Therefore, we are taking 18% on it, right? Next adjustment क्या कहता है? Next adjustment is providing of training services. Now here they have given the amendment part. So if I tell you guys, this question number 2A जो है ना, it is similar to kind of question number 1 which is our master question, because यहाँ पर उन्होंने आपके almost सारे areas check किए. This is related to charge of supply, this is related to place of supply. Here they have asked you if an exemption का amendment वाला part, exemption का amendment वाला part of NSDC. if he now here amendment part क्या था, अगर if the person is an training partner of NSDC, then it is exempt because Mr. Vishwas is not a training partner, therefore it is not exempt. And place of supply is CGST SGST because nothing is mentioned, the place of supply will consider as um, intrastate transaction, right? So here this is amendment part from exemption. Next, he is availing tax consultation services. So this is our input का part. अभी तक ने हमने जो भी देखा है वो output का था. Now he is availing tax consultation services from his CA 30,000 का. So now this consultation services, if you see, it is for both exempt and taxable supplies. So because we are here, we are having here we are having RCM outward as well as taxable supply, so we have to check whether this is a common credit part or not. Therefore this 30,000 comes under common credit part. So if you see training services from NSDC by Mr. Vishwas not being a training partner, therefore it is not exempt and therefore it is taxable, we have taken CGST SGST pay. Then here in input ka part we are availing tax he is availing tax consultation services, it is a common credit, so here we have taken GST on it, right? Then Then here we are having availed input services in relation to organizing entertainment event. So now here he is organizing entertainment event which is a taxable, which is in relation to taxable supply only, taxable supply only. Therefore there is no common credit card part. This is wholly related to taxable supply. So this 4 lakhs, because there is no place of supply given, so here again we will consider it as C and S only, and therefore on 4 lakhs we are going to take, on this 4 lakh we are going to take CGST SGST 30,000 30,000. But during exam I have made a mistake, because here I have considered common credit as total 38,700, which made my ITC reversal computation wrong, because of which my net ITC available adjustment also went wrong. So be careful whenever you are reading this question. You always check whether what the question is mentioning, because here they are telling about entertainment service, that means it is only related to taxable supply, therefore it does not come under common credit part, and therefore you cannot take this for common credit rule 42 part, right? Then here we are having one more adjustment: sold is go down for the purposes of his business. Now if you see, this sale is not in the GST part, but we will consider it for rule 42 e purposes. Rule 42 may, for calculating ITC reversal, we will consider it as e part, which is 1% of stamp duty value. So here stamp duty value was 14 lakhs. So on this 14 lakhs we will consider 1%, right? So here was my rule 42 ka calculation, 14 lakhs, and my RCM ka 4 lakhs, which makes it total 18 lakh, and F is my 18 plus 18 36 lakhs. So this was my total E and F. From this we have calculated my ITC reversal ka part, and net ITC I have calculated. So all this output and all this input, and also one more adjustment of importing of consultation services, because it is not a supply, therefore there is no input available for him. That's it. So this was my output and input part. So if you see, here we have recorded output, here we have reduced input, because the input part was wrongly calculated. My net GST payable amount also went wrong. So be careful whenever you are solving these answers. It has cost me 2.5 marks, so I have scored only 7.5 from 1A, 2A, sorry, not 1A, it is 2A. I have scored on total 7.5 marks, right? Next. Next is question number 2B. Here this was related to valuation chapter from customs. I valuation chapter always customs में से बहुत easy questions ही आते हैं, because there are not too many adjustments for institute to confuse us. So I must tell कि ये valuation part is most scoring part in your IDD paper. So never leave this topic and go. So what is this valuation telling? That they have importing machine through vessel from Japan. सो ऑलवेज चेक द मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, इंपोर्ट हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, मशीन इंपोर्ट हो रहा है, वेसल के थ्रू हो रहा है, अगर एयर के थ्रू होता है तो एडजस्टमेंट्स में थोड़े चेंजेस आते हैं. दे आर इंपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम जापान, राइट, इन द मंथ ऑफ जनवरी. So this was the cost, this was loading charges, the port of exportation, this will come for CIF basis, and again here we are having from port of export to port of import and insurance charges. So if you see all this calculation part, here we have considered cost, because that was given in yens. First we will convert it into the rupees. Then here they are having another adjustments also, that is, one is designing charges paid in New Delhi. So if you see, if there are expenses if there are expenses taken in India itself, if they are taken in India, then they are not allowed for calculation in adjusted FOB. But if it is outside India, then we can consider, because it is showing in New Delhi, therefore it is not to be taken for adjusted FOB. However, commission other than buying commission, if it is there, then it is allowed. Therefore, we can take under adjusted FOB, right? You can take this in adjusted FOB. So if you see, this adjustment designing charges as expense is incurred in India, therefore it is not allowed, and commission being other than buying commission. Designing charges, it is not allowed as expense. However, commission, it is other than buying commission, therefore it is allowed. Here we are getting adjusted FOB. freight charges and insurance we are having. This makes my total assessable value. So here we have calculated total assessable value, but what have they actually asked us? They have asked us to calculate assessable value as well as basic customs duty. The assessable value is considered. Now what is the basic duty? So here they have given you bill of entry date, they have given you entry inward date. So whatever is later, so 25th is my later part. So what will be my basic customs duty? If you see, rate of exchange will be considered on the date of filing bill of entry, and rate of exchange will be considered given by CBIC. So if you see this rate of exchange will be considered whichever is later. So here entry inwards is later. So we'll consider rate of exchange on the date of entry inwards, which is 0.68. However, bill of customs duty will be considered on the date of bill of entry, which is 10%. Right. So here we have taken, sorry, इसको कट कर देंगे इतना. So if you see this part, so here they have given that what is the computation of basic customs duty. The rate of duty will be later of date, bill of entry, or entry inwards, whichever is later. So entry inwards is later. So here we have to consider basic customs duty as 15%, and we will consider rate of exchange on the date of bill of entry, which is 0.65, right? So here we have considered rate of exchange as 0.65, and here we have considered rate of duty as 15%, later of bill of entry or entry inwards, whichever is later. And do not forget to add social welfare charge to it, 10%, right? And also I have written few notes just for to be on safe side, that rate of exchange will be considered on the date of bill of entry, and rate of exchange will be considered only of CBIC, because in this question they have given for CBIC as well as interbank rate. Interbank rate is not useful for us, so ignore this part, and therefore you will consider only for CBIC, and not even this CBIC. Sorry, you will consider this CBIC. So you will consider this CBIC, right? Next. So if you see, I have scored 4 marks in 2B. 4 marks in 2B, it only came for 4 marks. So I have scored full marks in it. Okay, next. Next is my question number 5A. So I have solved question number 5A. So what was my question number 5A? So question number 5A was related to, this was related to place of supply. No, this was related to penalty wala, penalty and appeal. So now this was the new question. If you see, Bajaj Electronics handed over goods to the transporters, superfast transporters, to be delivered to Anna Electronics, right? Amounting to 3 lakhs. So goods were amounting to 3 lakhs. On that GST was chargeable 9%, 9%. Proper officer intercepted at under 88 and in transit and seized the good on 16th December. So if you see, there is a section of 129 which is related to consignment which is seized, and penalty order to be passed under 129.3. So here the order proper officer has passed the order under 129.3. However, he did not admit the appeal, and they have filed with appellate authority and appeal. So what is the information they are asking us to calculate? So they are asking you to calculate pre-deposit requirement. So pre-deposit is 25% of penalty, whatever they are asking. But what is the penalty amount you have to calculate? So that was the tricky part in this whole question. So if you see amount of pre-deposit they are asking us to file with the appellate authority before filing the appeal, it is 25% of the penalty. But what is the penalty amount? So penalty amount under 129.3, under 129.3 will be, it is if the owner of goods is not found, if the owner of good is not found, owner of good is not found, then it is 200% of 200% of tax payable, or 50% of value of goods, whichever is higher. So if you see 200% of tax payable is 1 lakh 8, and if it is 1 lakh 50, so therefore you are considering 1 lakh 50. On that 1 lakh 50 you will consider only 25% to pay as pre-deposit tax. So that was your first adjustment. However, they are also asking you what is the amount to be paid by superfast transporters under 129 for the conveyance. For conveyance, they have to, the transporter has to pay 1 lakh, or penalty which they are paying under 129.3, whichever is lower. So here I got little confused and I have written higher, because of which my adjustment went wrong and it cost me 1 mark over here. So here answer would be 1 lakh. Answer would be 1 lakh. So here was my question number 5. Because of these silly mistakes, I have lost 1 mark, 2 mark kind of marks. So I suggest you guys be very careful and accept it that ये छोटे छोटे गलती आपसे होंगे. So always try to be as much as possible careful while writing your answer so that आपसे ये छोटी छोटी गलतियां ना हो. Right, next is your uh, 5b, which is related to, this is a form they have filed GST returns, but they have filed belated return, not belated return, but they have not filed this is a company called Truanco. They have filed GST return for the month of January. However, as per the department, there is a short payment of tax. So this was the amendment part of section 74A. 74A का क्वेश्चन, जो न्यू अमेंडमेंट आया है सेक्शन 74A के रिलेटेड. सो दे हैव आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू इट, बट द आंसर वाज वेरी सिंपल एंड इट वाज डायरेक्टली टेकन फ्रॉम आरटीपी. आरटीपी सितंबर 2025 का डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. सो डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग एनुअल रिटर्न इज 31st December 2025, राइट. So what is the latest date by which SCN can be passed? So here SCN can be passed within 42 months of annual return. So year 42 months was ending on 30th June 2029. That was the answer you have to write. That's it. Just two-liner answer. What is the timeline to pass order? By here the timeline to pass order is 12 months. If there was fraud, the instead of misstatement, if it was related to willful misstatement, then there would be any change in the answer? No, because under willful misstatement also they have to give order within 42 months and the order should be passed within 12 months. ICN should be given 42 months and order to be passed in 12 months. So here on, that's what we have written the answer. Section 74A मैंने quote किया था, issue notice short payment of tax here within a period of 42 months they have to give, which is ending on 30th June 2029. So if you see, I have also highlighted the main points like 30th June, section 74A, 42 months को मैंने बॉक्स में डाला है ताकि आंसर्स evaluator को easily मिल जाए and he easily put tick marks. So if you see wherever I have highlighted, they have even put the tick marks. So this is a suggestion to you guys कि जब आप ये answers present करो, आप ऐसे highlight कर दो ताकि evaluator को easy रहे आपका paper evaluate करना and he easily gives you marks, right? Then proper officer to pass order within 12 months. So if you see, there are too many cuttings also in my paper, because of which I have lost 1 mark. But even when you are highlighting these answers within your cuttings also, your answer is properly visible and you will easily gain marks. The answer would not change, even though there is a willful misstatement. Due date will be 30th June and they have to pass order within 12 months, right? If you see this answer, it is presented in this way, not change, 30th June, 12 months, all of this is presented, right? Next, question number 5C. This question number 5C, it came from customs, बट आई मिस इंटरप्रेटेड दिस क्वेश्चन, जिसकी वजह से मुझे मार्क्स नहीं मिले थे. सो दे आर आस्किंग दैट इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटी पे किया था, उसको रिफंड क्लेम करना है, तो किस कंडीशंस को फुलफिल करके इम्पोर्ट इन रिफंड क्लेम कर सकता है. बट आई हैव मिसअंडरस्टूड दिस क्वेश्चन टू ट्रांसफरिंग इंसिडेंट्स ऑफ टैक्स, जिसकी वजह से मेरा पूरा आंसर रॉन्ग हो गया एंड हैव स्कोर्ड nil marks in 5C. So what was the actual answer? If you see the actual answer, I am even sharing actual answer with you guys ताकि आप लोगों को easy रहे ये आंसर समझने में, and if there is any such question in your exam you can able to write the answer. So this was the most simple question. So what is this section 25 26A telling about? 26A is telling about paid on clearance of import of goods. Goods are defective if they are not worked upon, if they are not goods which are identified as imported. Imported does not claim drawback. Within 30 days clearance of import, they are either exported or relinquished or destroyed. Then they can claim refund. No offense has been committed, or no offense has been committed with respect to the goods, or application for refund has been filed, goods are not perishable, or any other conditions as specified by the board. So if you have written any 5 points also, you would have scored marks, but मैंने आंसर को मिस इंटरप्रेट कर दिया था जिसकी वजह से मुझे मार्क्स नहीं मिले थे, right? Next is my question number 3A. If you see this question number 3A, question number 3A, so this was related to independent cases. So first independent cases was given from place of supply. Here there is a company called Seafood and Eatwell. So Seafood is giving to Eatwell. Seafood is in Tamil Nadu, and here they are transferring to territorial waters 4 nautical miles from Kerala and 12 nautical miles from Tamil Nadu. So there is a concept in place of supply regarding territorial waters. So what is this territorial waters? Place of supply will be nearest coastal region. So here nearest coastal region is for Kerala. So my place of supply will be Kerala. That was the most simple answer. But in exam I have been confused this topic to build to ship to model, and जिसकी वजह से मेरा पूरा answer wrong हो गया था, and I have not scored any marks in this. So here if you see section 10 1 भी मैंने quote कर दिया था build to ship to model के लिए, and shall be place of third party. So here seafood and eatwell I have taken. Here I have considered this eatwell where it is registered as a place of supply as Maharashtra. However, supply between eatwell and other registered person shall be Kerala. आई हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस एज बिल्ड टू शिफ्ट मॉडल, एंड मैंने ये पूरा आंसर इस तरह से मिस कर दिया था जिसकी वजह से आई कुड नॉट स्कोर मार्क्स. सो आपको व्हाट आई सजेस्ट यू इज ऐसे गलतियां आपसे हो सकती है. इट्स ओके इफ यू आर डूइंग दिस मिस्टेक, बिकॉज एट दैट टाइम वॉट एवर यू फील वॉट एवर इज राइट दैट यू विल राइट इट. बट नेक्स्ट जब आप लिखते हो आंसर, ट्राई टू थिंक इन ऑल द वेज कि ये आंसर ऐसे हो सकता है. इफ यू आर सो श्योर अबाउट राइटिंग द आंसर देन ओनली यू राइट इट. आई वॉज वेरी कंफ्यूज कि ये बिल्ड टू शिफ्ट टू मॉडल है नहीं है. टेरिटोरियल टॉपिक का भी मेरे दिमाग में घूम रहा था, but at the end I have went with this topic. So it's a matter of risk also. I'm just telling you guys कि ऐसे mistakes आपसे हो सकते हैं. So try to be very confident and very careful when you are attempting the answer, ताकि आपसे ऐसी गलतियां ना हो. एंड अगर आपसे ऐसी गलतियां हो भी रही है तो इट्स ऑल ओके, डू नॉट पैनिक, बिकॉज आपने बाकी के आंसर सही लिखे होंगे एंड वहां पर आपको मार्क्स मिल जाएंगे. दिस वॉज जस्ट अ 2 marks 2.5 marks bit, so it's okay. But नेवर लूज होप. इसकी वजह से मैं आपको ये सब डराने के लिए नहीं बता रही हूँ. आई एम जस्ट शेयरिंग कि ऐसे मिस्टेक्स जनरली हो सकते हैं, बिकॉज अवर थॉट प्रोसेस विल बी, सबका थॉट प्रोसेस अलग अलग वे में होता है. वी माइट think in a very different way, examiner might think in a very different way, and our perspective may also be wrong, but it does not mean that you don't know anything. It's just your way of thinking is different, and that's why आपकी वजह से आंसर्स में गलती हो सकती है. बट ट्राई टू मैनेज दिस मिस्टेक्स इन अर्ली वे. मैं आपसे ये गलती क्यों शेयर कर रही हूँ, ताकि आप सोच सको कि ये इसका आंसर और किस किस वे में आ सकता है. आप थोड़ा उस पर अपना सोच विचार करके ही तभी आप आंसर लिखना. डू नॉट हरी व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग आंसर एंड व्हेन यू हैव टाइम टू राइट इट. ओके, बिकॉज मेरे पास प्लेंटी ऑफ टाइम था. आई हैव इवन अटेम्प्टेड एक्स्ट्रा आंसर. I have even attempted all six. I have attempted all six questions, but still I could score only 57 because of my kind of negligence. I can also tell it was my some overconfidence. मैंने आईडीटी को अपना strong paper समझा था, जिसकी वजह से I have lost a lot of marks because of my negligence. So I hope कि आप लोग ये negligence ना करो. डरने की भी कोई बात नहीं है. पैनिक भी करोगे तो आपके negligence वहां पर भी हो जाएगी. सो ऑलवेज बी काम कि आपको जो आता है आप वो लिख के आ रहे हो, एंड दैट इज वेरी राइट. ओके, आपको डरने की कोई बात नहीं है. यू हैव टू जस्ट अटेम्प्ट वॉट एवर यू नो, एंड आप लॉजिकली अगर वो चीज़ों को पढ़ोगे, अगर आपके दिमाग में वो कॉन्सेप्ट अच्छे से है, देन यू विल ऑलवेज यू विल राइट द आंसर इन अ वेरी बेटर वे, राइट. So here's my second part, speed logistics. They are giving this tipper lorries को higher pay. Now speed logistics, he is a GTA. He is a GTA. Who is he giving? He is giving it to a company called ABC. What he is giving? He is giving his GTA vehicle, that is lorry. But ABC is not a GTA. So a mining firm, this is a mining firm for transporting minerals. So vehicle was given with driver fuel cost. Now what is speed logistics thinking? It is thinking that it is an exempt supply, and therefore they have not collected any GST. However, there is a exemption may point that if you are a GTA and if you are giving to another GTA your vehicle on lease, then it is exempt. However, the person who is taking this vehicle on lease is not a GTA, therefore this is not exempt. So his interpretation is not right. So you have to present the answer in this way. As per CGST Act, transporter vehicle is given on hire to the other transporter shall be exempt. However, in this case, Speed Logistics is giving his tipper lorries to ABC, who is not a GTA, a mining firm for transporting minerals. Therefore, it is a taxable supply, and Speed Logistics is not correct, and therefore it is because it is other than GTA. So wherever I have highlighted, they have given me tick mark, and I have scored 2 marks in this. right? Next is my question number 3b. So what is this question number 3b? Here this is related to place of this is related to time of supply as well as your tax invoice का amendment जो हुआ था वो वाला. So this again they have tested the amendment part, because in RCM there is a amendment under rule 47. It tells that if you are self invoicing, if you are passing, if you are in creating invoice for the services you have received from an unregistered person, then within 30 days of receiving such goods or services you have to create the invoice. That is my due date of creating invoice. However, for time of supply, what you will take, it is either date of payment or it is 61st day, that is for a day following the 60 days from the date of receiving invoice from the unregistered person, or it is the time when you are creating your self invoice, the date of self invoicing. Okay, self invoicing is within 30 days. So if you see my answer, I have presented this answer as, first we have quoted section 13.3, place of supply is chargeable under reverse charge, date of time of supply chargeable under reverse charge, it is date of payment 61st day, that is day following the 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by supplier, and date of issue of invoice by recipient in case of rule 47. Then I have also explained rule 47 stating that he has to create invoice within 30 days from the date of receipt of supplies from such unregistered supplier. I have quoted this point. Then here I have also in practical, based on the case they have given, I have also told what is the due date of giving invoice. He obtained service on 10 December, therefore the due date of issuing invoice is 9th Jan, and he paid for such service on 18th Feb. So I have written all the facts of the cases. Now here comes the actual main answer. If you see, they have given us four situations. They has given us four situations where invoice is issued. In two cases self invoicing hai, and in one case there is no invoice, and in third case supplier is issuing invoice. So where is invoice is issued by unregistered person, it is treated as self invoicing if it is given within the due date of payment. So if you see here, it is 8th Jan. So date of 61st day of invoice not applicable, date of payment 18th Feb, and date of recipient 8th Jan. So here we are taking 8th Jan. Then here again in second case, the Murthy and Sons is giving the invoice. He has passed on 13th Jan. However, the due date was of 8th Jan. So here if you see, the time of supply I have taken it as 9th Jan 2025. However, this part was not right because the date of invoice 13 Jan, even though later he shall be paying interest or penalty. I have written this adjustment wrong, because if you see the actual answer, second situation, it is 13 Jan, because since the supplier is unregistered, MSL issued self invoice. Time of supply will be the date of invoice, whichever is earlier. Since it is date of payment is 18th Feb. However, uh, in this case, if you see this answer, supplier is unregistered, MSL the issued cell invoicing. The time of supply will be the date of issue of invoice, since it is earlier than date of payment 18th Feb. So time of issue of invoice was 13th Jan when he has issued self invoice. However, alternatively, if you are saying supplier is unregistered, however the date of issue of invoice 13th Jan or last date of issuing of invoice 9th Jan, the time of supply is 9th Jan. They have given us two alternatives. So I have taken the second alternative, time of supply as 9th Jan. Then in third case, if you see here, unregistered person, no invoice is issued, no invoice is issued. So when no invoice is issued by other person, we will take the date of payment only. Then here we are having last where the supplier is issuing invoice. Here in this case you have to take 61st day or date of payment, whichever is earlier. The date of payment is early, so we have taken date of payment only. So this was my 3b. This was simple question, but if you read it for the first time, you will definitely get confused. So if you read it with a very calm mind, then you can easily answer this question. Then DMP overseas imported goods from USA intends to avail. So now this is from levy and exemption chapter, जो उसमें एक IGCR rules करके concept है. Now from the past three attempts, that is November 2024, May 25, and even September 2025, they have asked these IGCR rules and all rules differently. So I hope they will even ask in Jan 2026. So be prepared with the IGCR rules. Section 25(1) Customs Act. They are telling that he is giving it to the third job worker, third party, that is a job worker. So what are the conditions he has to satisfy when he is giving to a job worker. So what is the condition he has to satisfy? I could not present this answer in a better way, but you might present. So here I have mentioned the rule number. Invoice he has to give. He is sending goods to the job worker under the cover of invoice, and an e-way bill shall maintain records as the goods sent to the job worker. He shall mention it in the quarterly statement. He shall provide details of job worker as per the rule 5. He shall file quarterly statement for the transaction. The job worker maintain proper records when required by JCO. But this answer could be presented in a more better way. If you see this answer, if you see this answer, the advice of accountant is not right. The importer is permitted to send the imported goods to the job worker. The importer shall maintain records. He shall send the good under the invoice or e-way bill. Maximum period for which he can send is 1 year. Importer is unable to establish the goods sent for job work as per the specified particulars. The jurisdictional custom officer shall take necessary actions against it. What are the conditions he should satisfy? He should maintain books of accounts. He should produce account details whenever asked by the jurisdictional custom officer, or after completion of the job work he has to send them to the, or if he is sending to another job worker, he shall do it under invoice or e-way bill. So you have to present the answer in a more proper way. I have presented not in that proper way, so that's why I could not score well. I have scored only 1.5 in it. Next is question number 6a. If you see this question number 6a, so question number 6a, actually I thought this was my best answer, but I could not score. I have scored least in these marks only. But when I have attempted the optional part, I have scored more marks in options when compared to the sixth question. So I will also show you the fourth question. First, let us complete the sixth question. So generally, appellant is not allowed to produce any additional evidence. So when he is appealing to appellate tribunal, appellate authority, he cannot give any additional evidence. However, there are few exceptional cases. So when he can give, when he was not given actual opportunity, when the uh, notice was issued and he was not given an opportunity by the other officer, or when it was rejected, or it was not available for a reasonable reason, for a very justifiable reason, or any additional evidence after proper investigation, appellate accepted after the additional evidence. So I've written such 4 points, but more points could have been presented, or it could be presented in a more proper way. That's why I could not score full marks in it. But if you see the answer, question number 6a. So the appellant is not allowed to produce any additional evidence. Adjudicating authority refused to admit the evidence prevented by sufficient cause. Called upon to produce by adjudicating authority or relevant to the ground. Order appeal was made without giving sufficient opportunity of being heard, or the order reasonable opportunity is allowed to examine the evidence, produce evidence, is rebuttal of additional evidence. Reasons for admitting evidence is recorded in writing. Like this, if there are things, then they will accept the additional evidence. Then we are having section 160, where it is telling that when the assessment proceedings are not to be invalid, shall not be invalid on certain grounds, you are required to produce a list. So first they have given the type of proceedings. What are the type of proceedings covered? So they have covered assessment, reassessment, adjudication, review, revision, rectification, notice, summons, other proceedings. Mistakes, when it shall not be invalid or deemed to be invalid merely by reason of any mistake, defect, or omission. Such assessment proceedings are in substance and effect in conformity with according with the intents, purposes, and requirement of GST law or any other earlier law. However, I could not remember this question, or could not write this answer in a better way, so I have chosen the second alternative, because there is an or option. So what is meant by commencement of audit? This was the easiest question of section 65. What is the time limit? So commencement of audit is later of records or documents called for by tax authorities, or date of actual institution of audit, whichever is later, and they have to be completed within 3 months, extended to a maximum of 6 months by proper officer. So if you see my answer, it is the same. So audit is conducted under section 65. Records documents relevant for the information made available, or institution of audit, whichever is later of. Okay. Time limit is complete within 3 months, which may be extended to 6 months by concerned officer. Maximum 6 months. Okay. Then here is the question number 6. See, So this question, it was kind of out of a box for me, so I could not attempt this question in a proper way. I have not scored any mark in this question. Who has authority to place an entity in denied entity list, and what are the restrictions imposed on the entity placed in the DEL? So what is a denied entity list? All this you have to explain. So maybe placed in the DEL when he by regional authority. Regional authority can make him place in the DEL. Firm may be refused to grant or renew a license. All new licenses shall be blocked. Okay, and firm name when it can be removed if he is paying the required fees, if he is paying the penalties, requirement of demand notices, and he has fulfilled, then they will be removed from the denied entity list. That was very simple, and if you think logically, you could write it, but I could not think of a right answer at that time, so I have written very miscellaneous, or you can tell very silly answer in this, so I have not got any marks in 6C, if you see. Okay, then is our main question, master question, question number 1. So if you see this question, so there is a company called Sakura Impex Limited. So this Sakura Impex Limited is a body corporate. They are registered in the state of Andhra Pradesh. It is given for the month of January 2025. So here is our first question. Sakura Impex Limited. It is a body corporate and the state of Andhra Pradesh. It is for the month of January. So first we will see what they have asked us. So because it's a master question, they will always ask for value and GST liability. So here if you see, you are required to compute GST liability. They have not asked for value. They have asked for GST liability in cash payable, CGST, SGST, IGST as a case may be, and they are also asked for brief reason for the treatment of each item forming part of your answer. So whatever adjustment we are making, all these adjustments needs explanation. So first we'll see additional information, details of determination of place of supply. If it is not given, then you have to consider interstate. So if you see question number 2A, they have given there it as intra. Okay, but here they have told as inter. So this, if you are not careful, then you are gonna make mistake in this, because here it is inter and there it was intra. So even I made this mistake in my exam. I have not focused on this point, because their spellings are also kind of similar, not a valid reason, but still I have not focused on this point as inter and intra, and I made mistakes in the exam, because of which I could not score well in this answer. Otherwise this answers was the bonus part for me. Okay, so here if place of supply is not given, then you have to consider interstate supply out of total consideration for printing books. So this is related to an adjustment. This is also later, so here they are telling that they have filed LUT for zero-date supplies. That means if they are making any export, then there is no GST payable on it, right? Then this is related to also adjustment, corporate guarantee, supply of service. This is also related to adjustment, and this is also related to an adjustment machine. Then what are the other adjustments given? Here they have told except as otherwise stated. CGST, SGST, IGST are 6%, 12% for paper and ink. So respectively for paper and ink. Means this 6%, it is for paper or ink. However, if there is any other case, it is 9%, 9%, 9%, 18% for all other outward and inward supplies and goods and services. So if you see, there might be misinterpretation by everyone that 6% is for other inputs and 9% is for paper and ink. However, the case is vice versa, that 6% it is for paper and ink and 9% it is for all other supplies. Okay, all the amounts given are exclusive of taxes. All the conditions for ITC have been fulfilled, that is section 16 का पूरा conditions जो भी ABCDE का है, that all have been fulfilled. So now let us move to the adjustments part. So what is the first adjustment? So if you see, they have received an order for printing books who own the content. So if you see, in composite supply there is a concept of printing, and if you are printing for books, then it is treated as service, because our servicing is the main main service because content is owned by the person. However, if it is logo or invitation cards or pamphlets where the quantity matters, then it will be treated as supply of goods, right? So in this case they are making books, so printing books, so this will be treated as supply of service. However, for place of supply they have not mentioned anything, therefore you have to consider this as interstate supply. And if you see, they are telling that paper, ink are undertaken by SIL and books were supplied as order. So if you see in composite supply, the main supply will take rate for the principal supply only. So your main supply is our service of printing. So for printing services it is 18%. If it is if the for confusing you, they have given rate for paper and ink as well as 6%, 6%. So you have to ignore those 6% and 6%, and you have to consider 18% IGST. So if you see my answer here in question number 1, so how I have presented same computation of net GST liability for Sakura Impex Limited for the month of Jan 2025. Outward supplies ITC not ITC available will reduce, and whatever GST on RCM is payable, that will show the net figure, right? If you see here, note 1, note 2, and there was no RCM adjustment. So here for all these part I have given notes. So what is note number 1? It is related to GST liability. So first it is printing of books, it is a composite supply. Paper and ink is different, but they are naturally bundled, and therefore will consider as under 8.1. It is 9% IGST I should have quoted, but here I did mistake. I have considered 6% SGST, so it should have been IGST and it should have been 18%. But this judgment gone wrong, but this explanation was correct. Even though this explanation was correct, I have made a mistake in this IGST calculation part, therefore I could not score good marks in this. Then received a rent from a registered limited company for use of sales commercial building. So if there is a commercial building and if you are giving for to a registered person, then it will be treated as normal supply only. It will be treated as supply in the hands of person only, taxable supply in the hands of person, and it is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So you have to even quote the POS part of 12.3, that wherever immovable property is located, that will be my place of supply. So here you will get CGST and SGST 9% each. So here also if you see, I have considered it at 6%. All adjustments were right, but only this 6% part became wrong. It should have been 9%, right? So registered person from renting other than residential building shall be supply of service and chargeable under forward charge. That's it. Then here this was the main adjustment, you can tell. This was the main adjustment. If you see this, provided printing related consultancy services to Taehung and Co. He is a resident of South Korea. So location of recipient is South Korea. However, where is this market study taking place? It is taken at Japan, Indonesia, and in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So in section 13, there is a part where if there are multiple locations where the service is provided, and one of which is in India, then place of supply will be such location. So if you see here, the state of Andhra Pradesh is also considered in the market study. So here my place of supply will be AP, that is Andhra Pradesh, and therefore CGST, SGST will be applied, and for 9%. For 9% it will be. But I made mistake it too, because here they have told 14% is allocated outside India. I have considered this 14 lakhs as 14 lakhs as export, and I have not charged any GST to it, and for remaining 6 lakhs I have taken at 6%, which was my blunder I did, and because of which my whole adjustment gone wrong. So be careful whenever you are reading this question, and always try to think in all the ways. Though even though these adjustments have, okay, I can understand that this adjustment might be different, but the silly mistake of taking 9% IGST CGST place of supply का part not reading, that reading part is very important. You have to read all the additional information part very carefully, where inter is written, where intra is written, so that you do not make mistakes of six rates and place of supply. Okay, then here we are having corporate guarantee to a related person who is not eligible for full ITC. So if you see, there is a corporate guarantee part in the value of supply. They have tested you value of supply over here. Here it is amount of consideration or 1%, whichever is higher, that will give you value. On that you will charge GST. So here the consideration is 70,000, but what is the value of 1% of consider for which you are giving guarantee? So if you see, there is an adjustment for corporate guarantee. Corporate guarantee was given for grant of term loan from by a PSU bank. It was for 20 lakhs. However, they have availed only 15 lakhs. But my guarantee is given for total 20 lakhs. So for this, I have to take 5%, 1%. But that loan is for 5 years. So that you have to do 20 divided by 5 into 1% will give you the value of supply on which you have to charge. Because the place of supply is not given in here, you have to consider 18% IGST. But in this question, I made a mistake of considering it as 15%. On that, I have taken 1% and I have compared it with actual consideration of 70,000 and have considered whichever is higher. My whole answer went wrong. So we have to consider whichever is higher or lower, and you have to write the answer. Okay, so be careful whenever you are attempting this answer, these kind of answers. Okay, next, supply of service as well as invoice for a footwear sector company. So we will see first other adjustments. Received an advance for supply of services related to footwear sector. So we have received advance for supply of services related to footwear sector. So here they have told that supply of service as well as invoice is made on 14th Feb. So supply and invoice both is made on 14th Feb. There is a rate change on 1st Feb. So if you remember, there is a concept in time of supply that if you are making supply after rate change, then whatever the invoice or payment later part it is there, that is my time of supply. However, here if you see, I have made supply on 14th Feb, rate was changed on 1st Feb itself. So my supply is after rate change, therefore I have to consider the invoice date. Invoice date will be my time of supply, that is my 14th Feb. And 14th Feb, because the in time of supply is 14th Feb, so there will be no GST chargeable in the month of January. So here there will be no adjustment in GST. But I have, if you see, I have also taken over here advance or supply of service. Section 14, supply made rate change shall be payment date, shall be invoice or payment after change. So here before rate change shall not be considered. Therefore, my GST is nil. Okay. Next, here we are having supplying of old machinery used in manufacture to Mr. Prasad of Karnataka, uh, but on direction of Subbarao. So this is bill to ship to model, if you see. So here third party Subbarao. So my place of supply will be AP, and here it will come CGST and SGST. On this 4 lakh, if you see, there is a concept in ITC chapter only, that what is the tax to be paid. It is actual consideration or whatever input I have taken minus 5% per quarter from the date of payment till the date of purchase. So here if you see, there are 5 quarters. What are the 5 quarters? 4 quarters of 24-25, or 23-24, and 1 quarter of Jan, Feb, March. Jan, Feb, March. So if you consider, these are my 5 quarters. For these 5 quarters, I have to take 4 lakhs into 18%. That is my GST, on which I have to reduce 5% into 5 quarters. If you do all these calculation, you will get the amount. So if you see this amount, so here it is tax 24,000. ITC avail, it is 5% per quarter. So here I have taken GST into 5% into 5 and have got 27,000. So whichever is lower, I have considered it here, right? Next, inward transactions paid consideration to Andhra Pradesh government grant of certificate relating to safety of workers. So this is exempt under GST. Therefore, there is no ITC. There is only payable, and there are no RCM adjustment also. If you see this machinery, they have told you at a cost of 6 lakhs it was purchased. For this 6 lakhs, you have to consider 18% GST. On this 18%, you have to reduce 5% per quarter into 5, or actual transaction, that is 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs per whatever GST you are getting, whichever is higher will be your tax amount to be paid, right? So this is how we are going to solve your answers. And if you see, I have even written note that is not, that is exempt, and there is no ITC. Then about transaction, there is no input available, therefore ITC available shall be nil. And if you see, my ITC is nil over here, and whatever output was there, that only we have taken. But few of the adjustment like this consultancy services and one of these corporate guarantee questions, I have made mistakes. And other than that, place of supply and GST rate I have made silly mistakes because of which I have not scored well marks. So always be careful when you are reading the answer. Right, next last question, question number 4, which I have attempted as last part, which I have left in option, and I have scored more marks in this only. So GST return under section 39 they have filed, but with a delay of 73 days. Here their total tax payable is 60,000, out of which 40,000 was from credit ledger and 6,000 was available as cash in the cash balance. So if you are checking under section 51, then it is what is your net payable amount. On that only you have to take interest of 18%, right? So your net payable is 60,000 minus 40 minus 6. So if you see this answer, so if you see this answer, here it is interest at the under section 51 at the rate of 18% from due date of filing till the date of actual filing, applied only on net tax payable after adjustment, after adjusting credit ledger. So no interest shall be charged on the cash in cash ledger on the due date of payment also. So here interest will be 60 minus 40 minus 6 into 18% into 73 divided by 65, 365, that is equals to 504. And if you see this 4b wala part, here they have asked if it was given in 74 days, then what would be the interest amount. So in this case, what will be my interest amount? Interest amount would be 60,000 minus whatever was my balance in cash ledger, other than that, into 18%. Whatever credit ledger I have utilized, that amount will be not reduced like I have reduced in the interest on the 51, that will not be reduced in the 74a. So if you see, I made a small mistake in this. I have considered the total 60,000 part, which should have been actually 60,000 minus 6,000, that into 18% into 73 divided by 365. It should have been this, and my inter calculation has gone wrong, because of which I scored no marks in step 2 and I have scored only 2 marks in section or question number 4a. Right, next, discuss with explanations the validity of below with reference to provision of GST. So there is no need of registration of at all if the person is engaged in supply of service inter or intra only through e-commerce. So when is it not required to take registration? If it is less than 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs, then it is not required. However, if it is crossing 20 lakh or 20 lakhs, then registration is required. So I have written the statement is incorrect. The person is required to take registration providing services if his turnover is more than 20 lakh and 10 lakh in interstate supply, right? Then there is no requirement of physical verification for the minors. This is again from registration chapter, very small point. If you remember, then only you can write this answer. Before accepting registration, proper officer may physically verify business. So before accepting the registration, they have to register, they have to physically verify if needed, if the proper officer needs to physically verify. So there is no such thing called requirement. If proper officer requires, or if he thinks that there is high risk, then he will physically verify. So there is no requirement to provide details of bank account at the time of application of registration. So the statement is incorrect. At the time of registration, he has to furnish bank details. However, if he is not able to furnish, and within 30 days or the time of filing GST1, he has to furnish. So if you see the actual answer of ICI also, it is similar to that only. More they have shown in a very vague manner, that is partially valid or not valid, partially valid or not valid, and partially valid or valid. Like this, they have mentioned 30 days from the date of grant of registration, or outward supplies or GST or one filing, whichever is earlier, they have to they have to provide the bank details, right? Then last and the least question, last but not the least question, this is question number 4c. So here, this is again from customs chapter, and again this is the scoring part from baggage. Baggage, very simple adjustment. Here this is a person called Veronica. She is a UK citizen, so this is an important part to understand how much is the GFA allowed, and she is 17 years old. If she would have been more than 18 years, then laptop would be exempted. However, because she is less than 18 years, so she laptop is not exempt, it will come under GF only. She is coming on 1st Feb. So what she is bringing travel souvenir, this is exempt. However, laptop, this is taxable but can be reduced from GFA, and other articles, this is also taxable. Okay, so other than that, 15,000 का GFA उनको अलाउड होता है. अदर देन दैट वॉट एवर अमाउंट इज कमिंग एज टैक्सेबल वैल्यू ऑन दैट दे हैव टू पे द ड्यूटी. So computation of value liable to be paid as customs travels onerous, it is exempt. Laptop because she is less than 18 years, so fully taxable, and other articles fully taxable. From that we are reducing GFA of 15,000 and therefore we will get a taxable value. They are asking you to calculate the taxable value part of. So here was the end of the video. This was my certified copy. So आप आई होप आप सबको ये वीडियो बहुत पसंद आई हो. आप सबको इस चीज़ से बहुत सारी चीज़ें सीखने मिली होगी ताकि आप ये सब गलती आपके एग्जाम में ना करो. एंड यू ऑल गाइस गिव योर 100%. दिस इज़ योर लास्ट सेकेंड एग्जाम एंड आई नो कि अब आपको ऐसा लग रहा होगा बस और 2 एग्जाम और एक एग्जाम बस. बट इस चीज़ में आप अपनी पढ़ाई को नेग्लेक्ट मत करना. आईडीटी इज़ वेरी स्कोरिंग सब्जेक्ट एंड छोटी छोटी गलतियों की वजह से आप मार्क्स गवा सकते हो. तो ऑलवेज बी केयरफुल व्हेन एवर यू आर राइटिंग योर एग्जाम. एंड आई होप आप सबको ये वीडियो बहुत बहुत पसंद आई हो. आप लाइक कमेंट शेयर अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ ज़रूर कीजिए. एंड आई होप आपको ये वीडियो बहुत बहुत पसंद आई हो. आई एम सॉरी अगर मुझसे कुछ गलती हो गई हो. दिस वॉज माई फर्स्ट एवर वीडियो and I'm thinking of even sharing with you all 1.5 day planner for you guys to prepare for IDT paper. वो मैं आपको वीडियो आपको नेक्स्ट वीडियो में आपको ये नेक्स्ट वीडियो मिल जाएगी फॉर 1.5 days कि आप लोगों को कैसे प्लान करना है कि आप 100% एटलीस्ट 90% ऑफ द क्वेश्चन तो आप कंप्लीट कर ही लो. तो प्लीज़ स्टे ट्यून फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीडियो एंड वो वीडियो को भी प्लीज़ लाइक कमेंट शेयर अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ ज़रूर कीजिए. थैंक यू सो मच गाइस. टाटा बाय बाय सी यू.